This is a chicken claw that can drink water, raised by a man as if it were his own child. Once the chicken claw grew up, it turned into a monster that hunted all of John's enemies for him. A few days ago, John was wandering around and found a golden chicken claw on the street. Though it was almost meatless, it looked quite fresh once frown-seen, and he thought it might taste good. So, he wrapped it in a newspaper and brought it home to enjoy with some drinks. Accidentally, he knocked over a bottle of wine and something miraculous happened. The chicken claw, as if it had life, absorbed all the spilt wine. John realized this was not an ordinary chicken claw. Like finding a treasure, he sealed the chicken claw and put it in the refrigerator for preservation. Just then, a phone call interrupted him. It was a debt collector. John instantly flew into a rage, picking up the phone and cursed at the caller, wishing the whole family to live to 100 years old.
Why don't you just fucking die? Die, you fucking vampires!
The next day, John opened the refrigerator and the chicken claw had disappeared, along with all the food inside. He found it lying quietly on the floor, absorbing the sunlight, and now it had fingers. However, this bizarre scene did not frighten John, but instead brought a smile to his face as he reached out to touch it. The chicken claw continued to grow into an arm within a day. This thrilled John, filling him with anticipation and special affection. He then placed the arm in a larger freezer, securing it with a padlock for fear of someone stealing his treasure. 3 days later, John heard a loud noise. He rushed to open the freezer and found the arm was gone, with a hole smashed in the window. Could the arm have escaped on its own? At 3 a.m., John was awakened by a disturbance. He followed the noise and found his arm was laying in the freezer sound asleep, having grown into a cute little creature. Not far from the freezer was a bloody heart on the table. Before he could react, the police were knocking at his door. It turned out his ex-wife had been unfortunately killed that night, her heart removed and taken away. John found a chicken claw and raised it as his own child. After the chicken claw grew up, it turned into a monster that flew hundreds of kilometers and brought back the heart of his ex-wife. This made John incredibly upset. His expression is like the fifth emoji in your phone, because he wished his ex-wife dead. After the police left, John happily went back to his dayming. Just then, the door slowly opened. Terrified, John dared not move, stealthily adjusting his monitor to observe the creature's actions. The monster was drinking water. John turned his head and saw an alien-like creature. It even initiated a greeting with John, then charged toward him. Startled, John fell over backward. However, the creature did not attack him, but treated John as his father instead. John looked at the cute appearance of the creature and finally realized that this was the chicken claw he had raised. He not only took out his phone to capture the moment, but also gently wiped the blood off his face, like a father taking care of his child. His eyes filled with indulgence. From then on, the man and the creature lived together like father and son. Just like any ordinary child, the little monster enjoyed watching TV and especially loved eating popcorn. One day, John received another call from the debt collector. As per his usual routine, he started arguing with the person on the other end of the phone.
Fuck off, you Nazi bitch! Fuck off and leave me alone!
Angry, he finally slammed the phone. Hearing John's furious roar, the little monster slowly poked its head out and extended its delicate little hand to comfort John. His mood instantly improved by half. That night, the little monster flew hundreds of kilometers and found the woman who had been hounding John for the money. Before she could react, she received an intense kiss from the little monster. The next day, John woke up to a bloody tongue. The debt collector's calls never came again. John immediately realized that the little monster must have avenged him once again. However, each time it returned, it would lay down in the freezer and sleep soundly. John wouldn't disturb it, because he knew that letting the little monster have a good sleep in the freezer would rejuvenate it. Ready to deal with anyone who hurt him, the little creature loved watching big soap operas and eating popcorn. Even more amazing was that it took care of the people who annoyed John, such as his ex-wife who had abandoned him, or the woman who kept calling for debt repayment. The creature would fly hundreds of kilometers to kill them one by one, and even bring back some organs from the victims. John didn't know how the creature did it, but it was like a roundworm in his belly, doing all the things he wanted to do but didn't dare to. John was very happy about this, although every time he had to help the creature clean up the mess. Soon, the police came to the door again. This time they wanted to question the ex-wife's two children to assist in the investigation of the cause of the ex-wife's death. But these two children were not John's biological kids, and he didn't know where they lived. At the same time, he was full of resentment towards his ex-wife's infidelity. In the following days, the creature didn't return for a long time, and John couldn't find it until the creature showed up again. This time it brought back the heads of the ex-wife's son and daughter. This little monster killed his ex-wife's entire family. However, this time was challenging for John to handle, as it had already been targeted by the police. Having no choice, he took a hammer to destroy the evidence. The blood splashed all over the wall, and the repeated hammering gave John a taste of the thrill of killing. However, this time he could no longer deceive the police. While disposing of the two pieces of evidence, The blood on his clothes made him a prime suspect. As a result, the police immediately searched his room and quickly arrested John, but he completely denied his crimes. John believed that it was the creature's doing and had nothing to do with him. He threatened the police that if they didn't release him, the creature would surely seek revenge. However, this was not the case. The creature was just a figment of John's split personality. He was the perpetrator from beginning to end. Nevertheless, John still believed that the creature loved him and would surely save him. After all beings have feelings, whether human or monster. As long as you treat it with your heart, it will repay you 1,000,000 times, follow you for life, and keep you safe.